Welcome to Face2Face. This is a show about change and what's next. It's a show that asks questions and peels back the layers of our average everyday experience and goes beyond scratching the surface. We interview people doing incredible things who are making a difference around the globe. Join me as we listen in and get one step closer to understanding that big ideas shared create collaboration. Collaboration can inspire community, and communities create social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face2Face. So my next interview is with Daniel Stern. Now, you probably remember who that is, and I'm almost going to guarantee that you do. He was a big part of the Home Alone franchise. He was in a film years back called City Slickers, and if you haven't seen that, shame on you. You need to go out and check that out. It's fun, and it's funny for all the right reasons, and so much good stuff going on. Billy Crystal's in that, and so many others. But today on Face2Face, Daniel and I talk about his new film, James versus His Future Self. It's a time travel film. It's an interesting and odd and very different and yet so funny look. Wow, was that English as my mother tongue? Anyway, a really funny look at time travel. You're going to want to check it out, and it's available Bell here in Canada, Rogers. You can get it on iTunes. I'm sure there's going to be other platforms as well. And it's just really interesting timing for this film to come out. This film that is really, it's a comedy, and as I said, it's about time travel. So you get into all that sort of, mathematical and scientific stuff. But really, this is a movie. This is a story about people and places. This is a story about regret and choice and responsibility. It's about family, and we talk about all those things. It's about being present and being in the moment, and you're even going to find out why there's no ketchup in the future, and why we might have overcompensated on the bee thing. But anyway, that's a little bit of a film reference there for you. So check it out, James versus His Future Self. Daniel and I have a blast. He's a sculptor. I'm really looking forward to having him back on the podcast so we can talk more about that. And remember, this is a time travel movie that doesn't involve a flux capacitor. So there's another reason why you're going to want to check it out. And here it is here. One of the opening quotes near the beginning of the film from a cab driver. You never know when you might meet someone you can have a conversation with that's going to change your life. Now that's a Peckian paraphrase, but that's what this is all about. Isn't that what this crisis is all about right now? It's about stepping back and remembering and being present. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Daniel. It was too short, and like I said, I'm hoping for a part 2. And don't forget, the name of the film is James versus His Future Self. DavidPeckLive.com for more information about my writing and my speaking. You can purchase a copy of Real Change is Incremental there. In fact, I would love it if you did that and then left a review on Amazon. It always helps. And with respect to Face2Face, if you want to get behind us, you can do that on Patreon and become a supporter. We only have a couple supporters, real keeners there. And if you can't do that, which I totally get, please leave us a review on iTunes. We're going to be coming up with a contest for how you can step into that. It's a simple thing to do, but I know it's a bit of a pain in the neck. You're leaving a review, but if you could do it for us, I would really, we would really appreciate it. And you can always advertise on Face2Face as well. We've got banner ads, we've got an email list that goes out. We have shout outs that we can do on and in and during our interviews as well. Sign up for our email list, share it with family and friends, and don't forget Rabble. Rabble.ca is a platform where the podcast also appears. And in moments, seconds away, coming up, a wonderful, fun, and engaging conversation with Daniel Stern talking about his new film, James versus His Future Self. Well, welcome to Face2Face. Thanks for joining me today. And I know we've got a short period of time, and I wanted to just dive right in. And I really appreciate you reaching out in this crazy world we find ourselves in.
Where are you at? Where are you?
So I'm just outside of Toronto, and and believe it or not, with the podcast, I'm coming up on about 500 interviews. So you are close to my 500th interview, man.
Wow.
I know, it's a bit crazy, eh?
That's well, that's perfect, and you can work from home, which is great.
Which is absolutely great, especially right now. So what do you? How are you spending your time during the COVID crisis?
Well, I'm a sculptor too. But on top of the showbiz thing, I have a whole other career going as a bronze sculptor. I do life-size bronze and monumental pieces for cities and commissions and stuff. So usually I spend my days in my studio anyway.
Wow.
So
that sounds like maybe a whole other interview down the road.
I'd love to.
Seriously,
to talk about it. That's a big, huge part of my life these days.
As soon as you said you were a sculptor, I went right back to, I'm old enough to know that, in my own life, go right back to when, you were younger, saying to your mom and your dad, yeah, I want to go into acting and sculpting. Going to make me rich beyond my wildest dreams. Yeah.
And it worked out. Yeah, well, my parents, I grew up very free-range kid. I mean, when I was 13, I was hitchhiking around the country with my best friend, and I dropped out of high school when I was 17 and moved to New York by myself. So I've got to make up my whole life, the whole way, and it's always been an artistic experience for me. So,
well, that's amazing, man. Seriously,
I'm a very rare bird that way, that's lucky.
Cool. That's really amazing. And I genuinely mean that about maybe having a further conversation down the road about your sculpting. I'd love to hear about that.
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah, I love talking about that part of my life too. But yeah, so I mean, in terms of day to day, I'm in my studio. I've got, I live on a little farm here, so we're all hunkered down. My daughter's a doctor back east.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're taking care of?
She's on the front line. She's a OBGYN, so these babies, I kept saying, can't the babies wait till this is over?
Yeah, no kidding.
But she's just there like 14 hours a day doing it, and just amazing.
Yeah, it really
scary,
is amazing. I interviewed a guy at TIFF at Toronto Film Festival last year, Benjamin Gilmore, and he just posted something on LinkedIn, and he had a beautiful film called Jurga that he made, but he's also a paramedic, Daniel. So he's he's a first responder, and he just posted an article that he wrote in the Sydney Herald, and it's really moving. And hey, thank your daughter for me and for us. Like, seriously, it's a bit of a crazy, uncertain time.
Yeah, and I said she's like a soldier. Like, she got recruited into a war she didn't even sign up for, and she's in it. And they all are, and it's just amazing. And I'm hoping our government's support, get all those masks and ventilators and all that stuff. I mean, just get this stuff going. People are, you really see the importance now of why we are all in this together. We really are, and I'm hoping it's pointing up to people the need for good government and, investment in people, because that's what this is all about. Well, and we really see it play out here. So I'm hoping we're learning our hard lessons here too.
Yeah, no kidding. And listen, so many things to talk about, really. And we've got about 15 minutes, and I want to talk about the film and about the future and about the present and the moment. And I think it's really interesting that we find ourselves in a time. I said to my wife, Elizabeth, just yesterday, how the world is just, everyone's saying this, really, I suppose, just this reset back into the moment. And isn't that what James versus his future self is really all about? Isn't it you that says to yourself, exactly, be all there?
Yes. And and we're all being forced to be there. You have nothing to do but confront yourself and your time and your family and your fears and your worry and all that. And it is a time to get your priorities, like health, food, basics, medical, these are things that, with all of the speed of life these days, again, hard lessons, but for every failure that I've had in my life, I've learned something from it. For every trauma and hard thing, sometimes the lessons come from that, and I'm really hoping we're smart enough as a species to learn our lessons here, and especially the way the world is shrunk and we're all so connected. This kind of virus shows how connected the world is.
It really
and
does.
That we are all the same, and that we're all in this together on this planet. And I'm really hoping those kind of messages, which never got through a month ago, might be landing.
So in other words, just to pull out of the film, Daniel, it's time to slow down on the croissants.
Exactly. You have to taste the bite.
Yeah.
You've got to get into the... Well, I love that message about the movie. I mean,
really
it really
do too.
is...
And by the way, Daniel, if I can just say congratulations. I don't know how the heck you found yourself in a Canadian time travel movie without a flux capacitor. That's a whole other conversation. But honestly, man, congratulations. It's a fun, engaging, beautiful, and deeply existential film. It really is. I hope I'm not overstating, but congrats. And it's
well, thank
so
you.
funny.
No, it meant a lot. I love this movie. We worked. They sent me the script a year before we shot it, and Jeremy and Jonas and I, we all talked on Skype once a week and worked on the script. And it was a gem because it was funny. It's touching. It's romantic. It's about something. It's about flawed people. Look, the biggest successes I've had in films are movies like that. They can make you laugh. The Home Alone movies, even. You're crying at the end because the mom and the neighbor or whatever, City Slickers, they get together. The Wonder Years, they're funny, but they're touching. And this movie really had something to say, especially to me, I'm getting older here, and a chance to go back and talk to yourself. Right. It's a or even
who
it's sort of
want that?
Yeah, and of course I don't listen to myself. It's like talking to my children, saying, "Now that I've got this wisdom, let me pass it on to you." And they go, "You know what? We don't need your wisdom. We know what we're doing."
That's right. Yeah.
And that's how you do have to live your life too. So it's not that there's a right answer or a wrong answer, although the message of trying to stay in the moment is a very good one, and especially in this time when my fear can get away from me and I can start worrying about all the things that are going on in the world, and I can't do anything about them, and I try to get back to, again, in my sculpture studio, okay, just make an elbow. Just make the knee today, and it feels good, and that's real, and I don't know. It's a complex movie that way. So
it is, and I really appreciated the message of it too. I've studied philosophy for most of my life and continue to read it and think about these things probably more than I should. But the idea of trying to remain present, it's just so bloody hard. And it's a constant challenge. I've got two fairly young kids, Spencer and Victoria, and we're going on these beautiful walks now, and we're having conversations. We had those before, but like you say, we're now being sort of forced to taste that croissant, to slow down. And hey, I'm a little concerned.
And the kids will do it, The kids make you real. I mean, that's what I loved about raising my kids, is that they're in the moment, and you have to be in the moment with them, or they know that you're not. They know you're distracted.
That's right.
And I loved that, and I was fortunate that I could be, I worked and was away a lot of times, but then when I was off duty, I was in their lives, coaching the baseball teams and teaching at the school and, doing everything I could, because that's what I love about young people, and especially kids, littler kids. They're just like, you can't pretend that you're not in the moment. You better be there, or you see in their eyes, they know you're full of crap. You're not really playing.
That's right.
You're not drinking the tea.
That's right.
You're not pretending to drink the tea. You're not making the building that you're supposed to be making, or playing with the truck. Like, you got to be in there, and that's if you forget how to do it, it's good you got your kids there to remind you. They'll always teach you.
To remind you. I so loved the way the film opened, you as the cab driver, and I just love the metaphor of the wisdom from the taxi driver, and it really is wonderful. But what's rooted in that to me is the relational component, and I think you say something about never know when you meet someone you can have a conversation with that can change your life.
Exactly.
It's so great. Like, it's just, this is the whole movie, but isn't this about the time we find ourselves in? Again, stepping back and saying, hang on a minute, be present, play with the Lego, have the conversation, mean what you say, follow through, right? I mean, isn't it? It sounds so simple, Daniel.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. I mean, it is crazy that the movie's coming out in this atmosphere, because that is the message behind it. And again, it's done in a funny way, and it's done in a human way, because, as you're saying, that's the point, but it's really hard to do. And it's really hard to let go of your, the thoughts that go in your mind, or the outside, letting your mind wander, and that discipline. But it is a chance to reset, and I mean, who would have thought this digital world and the speed of the world would stop and give us all a chance? It's a terrible thing that's going on, so much tragedy out there, but the best thing to do with these bad situations is learn the lesson, and I hope we're smart enough to learn it individually.
Hey, I gotta say, the movie brings up a few things about what the future might be like. Little concerned there's no ketchup in the future.
Well, now you know, so we better take care of our environment.
Okay, one of the funniest moments in the film for me is, I think your line, we overcompensated for the bees.
So it's so kind of, you don't know what the terrible story behind that is, but it's a great joke.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, funny.
Yeah, I mean, we overcompensated. I don't know what we did. I mean, humans have the capacity to do incredible, great things, and we also have that other side of us to do. I mean, we could blow it all up tomorrow with all the nuclear weapons and crap we have out there. Human beings are just insane.
Well,
people are nuts.
There's the soundbite, not only for the interview, but I usually look for one soundbite a day, and I think that might be the one. Human beings are insane. Hey, Daniel, what about regrets? This is a film about regrets, right? To some degree, and it's about choices, obviously, and responsibility. So you're kind of coming back to sort of help yourself not ultimately live with a whole truckload of regret, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, in the movie or in my real life, both.
Well, maybe, maybe a bit
in
of
In
both.
the movie, yes. Personally, I mean, it's a winding road, and the path of life goes. I mean, I've had the highest highs anyone could imagine. Being in the movies and going to the premiere and everybody taking your picture. I mean, those kind of, I've had crazy things that never expected in my life that way. And I've had some very bad and sad things too but I've ended up, I'm the luckiest guy I've ever met in my whole life. I mean, truly, the way I started off, and that I'm still married and have a wonderful home and a farm and a career that I love, and my kids are all successful. I'm the luckiest, truly. And then people saying that they like me in the movies and saying nice things to me. I mean, what would I change? What would I take the chance of changing in myself to risk this perfection that and again, the point of any of the bumps and the mistakes I've made is to try to learn something from them. And I think I'm getting there, but I'm not sure. You'd have to ask my wife if I've learned anything along the way.
Well, it's so cool, though, but I think that's so true as well, right? It's those people that are closest to us, right? That can hopefully speak into our lives and are speaking into our lives. And again, another point of the film, the love, the joy, the family, and just stay focused and notice those things around you. Another great line, too, is, when did we learn to bake? Like, it's the best. Like, it's this beautiful.
Well, it was also about my younger self in the movie overcoming the death of his parents.
Right.
And that was a tragedy in the film. That was a tragedy with him and his sister.
Yep.
And he's buried himself in the work for good things and for his own stimulation, but also to avoid a pain and to avoid just dealing with that, and you see the regret there is that I've ignored my sister and her pain by diving into this. So priorities, again, we all want to be successful. We want to invent something incredible like time travel, or do something incredible like be in the movies. But at the end of the day, it's the family. It's the pain of the family. I mean, if I have, all I'm thinking about now is my family. I want my daughter to be safe. I want the kids to be safe. I want my parents to be safe. I mean, you get that. I'm not that worried about my career right now. So those priorities, it's not just regrets, but it's understanding the priorities of those things too.
Hey, listen, we got about a minute and a half, and this is a big question to ask as we sort of wind down, but does wisdom come with age?
Unfortunately, yes. But you're too late to do anything with it.
Right.
It's like, God, now I get it. If I could just be a little calmer, if I could just be a little less hot-headed when I was younger, if I know how to live in a new way now.
Right.
But there's no way to have done that, because when I look back and I go, well, I had my first kid when I was 23, and I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing, but he's an incredible person. So the wisdom of a 23-year-old new father is the wisdom that's needed at that moment, not from a 62-year-old man imposing it on a 23-year-old. Like, 23-year-olds know what they're doing too, and so do 15-year-olds. So there's wisdom, but it's only wisdom for the moment for me. And again, in terms of staying in the moment, I'm wise for me now. I don't know if I'm wise for me then or wise for anybody else, but I'm getting my own wisdom and starting to understand myself at least.
Well, I think it's a beautiful place to sort of wrap up, and I hope we can do a part 2 down the road. And I'd love it, David. So enjoyed chatting with you. But this idea of family staying in the moment at this crazy time of crisis, and we're not overstating that. But we're talking to Daniel Stern today about his new film, James versus His Future Self, and I'm hoping you're going to come back on Face to Face, and we'll chat more about your sculpting and a whole pile
I'm looking
of
forward
other things
to it.
Maybe down the road. Daniel, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, too. It was a real pleasure talking with you. Take care.